Have you ever felt your finger hovering over that button, knowing deep in your gut you should wait, yet something inside you screams to enter the trade right now? That split second, that microscopic moment between rational thought and impulsive action, is where your entire trading career hangs in the balance. What if I told you that the difference between traders who consistently win and those who perpetually struggle has nothing to do with technical analysis mastery, nothing to do with finding the perfect indicator, and everything to do with a weapon so simple yet so devastatingly powerful that most traders never learn to wield it? The truth is, we've been conditioned to believe that trading success comes from being faster, smarter, or having access to better information. We chase after complicated strategies, spend thousands on courses and software, convinced that somewhere out there is the missing piece of the puzzle. But what if the real edge, the one that separates the professionals from the gamblers, isn't something you need to find at all? What if it's something you need to stop doing? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? The market is consolidating, your setup isn't quite formed, but that voice inside your head starts whispering, if you don't get in now, you'll miss the move. Your heartbeat quickens. Maybe your palms start to sweat. And before your logical mind can intervene, you're in the trade. 5 minutes later, you're watching your stop loss get hit, and you're left with that familiar sinking feeling, asking yourself the same question you've asked 100 times before. Why couldn't I just wait? Here's what you're about to discover that might completely change how you see trading forever. This struggle isn't a character flaw. You're not weak. You're not undisciplined. You're actually fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming that's hardwired into every cell of your brain. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this one psychological truth will unlock a level of trading performance you didn't think was possible. Think about our ancestors for a moment. For them, hesitation meant death. The hunter who waited too long didn't eat. The gatherer who paused at the wrong moment became prey. Our brains evolved in an environment where immediate action was rewarded and stillness was punished. Fast forward to today, and that same neural circuitry is running the show every time you sit in front of your trading screen. The market flickers, prices dance across your charts, and your ancient brain interprets every tick, every candle, every movement as a signal that demands response. What you're experiencing isn't market analysis, it's survival instinct. Your subconscious doesn't understand that this noise is just noise. It perceives inaction as danger, and it floods your system with chemicals designed to make you move. What you're about to learn is how the most successful traders have discovered a way to rewire this response, to transform what feels like unbearable tension into their greatest competitive advantage. Now here's where the real transformation begins, and it's going to challenge everything you've been taught about success. Most traders think patience is about sitting on your hands, gritting your teeth, and somehow resisting the urge to trade. But that's not patience at all. That's torture. What the professionals have discovered is something far more profound. Patience isn't the absence of action. It's the most powerful form of action you can take. Think about it this way. When you consciously choose not to enter a trade that doesn't meet your criteria, you're not doing nothing. You're executing your strategy with precision. You're making a decision that protects your capital, preserves your mental clarity, and positions you perfectly for when the real opportunity arrives. The traders who generate consistent profits haven't learned to suppress their impulses. They've learned to find genuine comfort in the spaces between trades, to recognize that those quiet moments are where their edge actually lives. But here's the hidden truth that creates so much internal conflict. From the moment we could walk, we've been programmed to believe that movement equals progress. Think about your entire life journey. In school, the active student got praised. In your career, the person who took initiative got promoted. Our whole society celebrates the doers, the hustlers, the people who make things happen. We're surrounded by messages that say, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And then you come to the markets, and suddenly, all that programming becomes your worst enemy. Because the market doesn't care about your need to feel productive. It doesn't hand out gold stars for effort. It doesn't reward you for showing up and taking action. The market is completely indifferent to your activity level. What it only rewards, is precision, being right at the right moment. Nothing more, nothing less. If you're serious about transforming your trading psychology and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button now. This channel is dedicated to uncovering the mental game that separates consistent winners from everyone else. This creates a battle inside your mind that most traders don't even realize they're fighting. On one side is your lifetime of conditioning telling you that stillness means you're wasting time, that opportunities are slipping away, that real traders are out there making moves while you're sitting idle. On the other side is the reality that your best trades often come after hours, sometimes days, of watching and waiting. Behind the scenes of every successful trading journey is this fundamental revelation. The market operates on a completely different timeline than your ego wants to accept. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by showing you exactly what happens when traders make this mindset shift, and why it changes everything about how they experience the market. If this is starting to resonate with something you've felt in your own trading, write mind shift in the comments below. Let me show you something that completely changed how I understood this game. When you're sitting there watching your charts and nothing is setting up, when the market is just drifting sideways and your strategy isn't giving you any signals, your brain starts sending you emergency alerts. It's screaming at you, you're wasting time, do something, everyone else is making money right now and you're just sitting here. That internal alarm system is so loud, so persistent, that most traders can't bear it for more than a few minutes before they cave and force a trade just to make the discomfort stop. But here's the revelation that separates the amateurs from the masters. Those moments that feel like empty space, like dead time you're trying to fill, that's actually where your entire edge is being forged. What looks like nothing happening is actually everything happening. You're training your perception, you're calibrating your instincts, you're developing the ability to recognize subtle patterns that most traders are too busy overtrading to ever notice. Think of it like an artist standing in front of a blank canvas. To someone watching, it might look like they're doing nothing, but inside that artist's mind, they're composing, visualizing, making 1,000 micro-decisions about what belongs and what doesn't. The hidden truth behind every trading breakthrough is that progress in this game doesn't look like progress in any other area of life. In the gym, you can see your muscles growing. In business, you can count new clients. In most skills, there's visible evidence of improvement. But in trading, the most significant transformation happens during those stretches where nothing appears to be happening at all. When you're watching price action develop, when you're observing how different market conditions unfold, when you're sitting on your hands because your setup hasn't materialized yet, that's when you're actually becoming a better trader. Think about a world-class photographer stalking the perfect wildlife shot. They might spend days in position, completely still, waiting for that single moment when the light, the subject, and the composition all align. The waiting isn't separate from the photography, it is the photography. Or consider a surgeon before making the first incision. That pause, that moment of absolute presence and preparation, that's not happening before the surgery begins. That is part of the surgery itself. The journey to trading mastery demands this same understanding, the waiting, the observing, the deliberate choice not to act when conditions aren't right. These aren't obstacles standing between you and success. They are the success. Now, what I'm about to share next will show you exactly how this transformation manifests in your actual decision-making process. If you've ever caught yourself forcing trades just to feel productive, type "guilty" in the comments. Something powerful happens. The moment you stop seeing waiting as the thing that happens before trading and start recognizing it as trading itself. This isn't just semantics. This is a complete reframe of what execution actually means. Every single minute you spend watching the market without entering a position when your criteria isn't met, you're not on the sidelines. You're in the arena. You're making a trading decision. You're actively executing your strategy by choosing precision over activity. What most people don't realize is that the decisions you make when you're not in a trade often have more impact on your bottom line than anything you do while holding a position. Think about it. The trade you don't take because the setup wasn't quite right? That's you avoiding a loss. The market move you watch unfold without jumping in because you recognized it was too late. That's you preserving capital for the real opportunity. Behind the scenes of every profitable trading account is a graveyard of trades that were never taken, bullets that were dodged simply because the trader had the discipline to wait. Let me give you a different lens to see this through. One that completely transformed my understanding of what patience really means. Picture a world-class surfer floating on the ocean. They might be out there for hours, just sitting on their board, watching wave after wave roll past them. To someone on the beach, it looks like they're doing nothing, just drifting, waiting. But that couldn't be further. And from the truth, that surfer is actively engaged in every moment. They're reading the swell patterns, feeling the rhythm of the ocean, sensing how the wind is affecting the water's surface. They're using every second of that apparent stillness to gather information, to position themselves, to prepare mentally for the moment when the right wave arrives. And here's what they understand that separates them from amateurs. Trying to ride every ripple will exhaust you completely without taking you anywhere meaningful. The amateur paddles frantically for everything that moves, burning energy, getting tossed around, achieving nothing. The professional knows that the journey only really begins when you select the right wave. The rest is preparation. Your trading charts are the ocean. Every price movement, every candle, every tick, those are just ripples. Most of them will go nowhere. The transformation happens when you develop the ability to sit in that same state of active observation, watching the ripples pass by without the compulsion to chase them, waiting for the formation that actually carries the probability you need. Now, let me show you what happens in your mind when you shift from reactive trading to this state of engaged patience. If you've ever felt that pull to jump on every market move, drop ocean mindset in the comments. When you finally commit to this path of patient observation instead of constant reaction, something remarkable starts to happen in your mind. I call it trading clarity, and it's almost like a fog lifting that you didn't even know was there. Your perception suddenly sharpens in ways you can't quite explain. You start noticing things that were always on your charts, but somehow invisible to you before. Subtle rhythms in how price moves, the way momentum builds and fades, those transitions between expansion and contraction that happen just before major moves develop. Here's what's actually happening behind the scenes. When your mind is constantly reacting, constantly jumping from one thought to the next, from one potential trade to another, you're operating in a state of mental noise. It's like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room. But when you learn to sit in stillness, when you can watch without that compulsive need to act, the noise starts to fade. And in that quiet space, you begin to perceive patterns at a completely different level. You start to sense the market's emotional tone. whether it's uncertain, aggressive, or simply drifting. These aren't things you can plot on an indicator. They're insights that only emerge when your mind isn't cluttered with the pressure to constantly do something. The transformation this creates is profound because you're no longer trying to force the market to tell you what you want to hear. You're simply observing what it's actually showing you. And that shift in perspective changes everything about how you engage with price action. But there's another dimension to this that most traders completely miss. The very act of choosing not to trade when conditions aren't right is itself a powerful form of execution. Every single moment you consciously decide not to enter a position that doesn't meet your criteria. You're not being passive. You're not sitting on the fence. You're actively implementing your trading strategy with precision. Think about the mental discipline that requires. The market is moving. Opportunities seem to be passing by. Your emotions are pushing you to act, and you override all of that because you trust your process more than you trust your impulses. That decision, that choice to restrain yourself, is actually the highest expression of trading mastery. What separates consistently profitable traders from everyone else isn't what they do when they're in trades. It's what they do when they're not. It's the cumulative impact of all those moments when they said no to mediocre setups, when they waited for genuine alignment instead of forcing action. Now, I want to go even deeper into why this restraint is so difficult and what's really happening beneath the surface when you feel that pull to trade. If you're starting to see restraint differently now, write "discipline is a decision" in the comments. Here's what most traders don't understand about patience. It's not built on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. You can white-knuckle your way through a few hours of watching charts, forcing yourself not to trade, but eventually that willpower runs out and you cave. The real foundation of patience is something completely different. It's trust. Trust in your process. Trust in the mathematics of probability, and most importantly, trust in yourself. When you genuinely believe deep in your core that your edge will appear again, waiting stops feeling like missing out. The entire emotional dynamic shifts. You're no longer sitting there anxious that opportunities are slipping away. Instead, you're calm in the knowledge that the market is infinite. It never closes. Opportunities don't end. They simply move through time like waves returning to shore. There will always be another setup, another high-probability moment, another chance to execute your strategy. This isn't hope or positive thinking. It's mathematical certainty. Let me give you a perspective that completely changed how I experienced trading. Think about how a casino operates. When someone hits a jackpot or wins big, at blackjack, do you see the casino owner panicking? Do they rush to change the rules or push more people to play faster to recover losses? Of course not, because behind the scenes, they understand something fundamental. Their edge isn't emotional, it's mathematical. They have absolute confidence that over hundreds and thousands of hands, their small statistical advantage will inevitably produce profit. Any individual outcome is irrelevant to them. The revelation here is that successful traders approach the market with this exact same mindset. Your edge isn't about being right on the next trade. It's a probability advantage that manifests across a series of trades over time. When you truly internalize this, something profound happens to your psychology. A single loss becomes meaningless because you understand it's just one data point in a much larger distribution. You stop viewing each trade as a test you need to pass and start seeing your entire trading journey as an expression of probability playing out. This transformation in perspective creates a kind of emotional immunity. You're no longer attached to any individual outcome because you've shifted your focus to the process itself. Your confidence doesn't come from predicting what the market will do next. It comes from knowing you'll recognize the right opportunity when it appears, regardless of when that happens. Now let me show you what happens when you combine this trust with the practical reality of how your brain actually responds to market movements. If you're starting to see trading as probability instead of prediction, type "trust the process" in the comments. But here's where things get really interesting, and why understanding this next piece is absolutely critical to your success. Every time the market moves, you're not just processing information intellectually. Your body is having a physical, biochemical reaction. When price spikes in your favor, dopamine floods your system, creating that rush of excitement. When a trade moves against you, adrenaline surges through your bloodstream. When uncertainty increases, cortisol levels rise, creating that knot in your stomach, that tension in your shoulders. These aren't abstract concepts. They're literal chemical reactions happening in your body right now as you trade. Your palms sweat, your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow. And every single one of these sensations is screaming at you to do something, to take action, any action, that will relieve the tension. This is the hidden truth about why patience feels so unbearable. You're not just fighting a mental urge, you're battling your own biochemistry. The revelation that changes everything is understanding that mastering patience isn't about suppressing these reactions. That's impossible. You can't will yourself to stop producing adrenaline. What you can do is develop a completely different relationship with these sensations. The professionals have learned something called emotional neutrality, a state where you feel everything but remain unaffected by it. You notice the impulse to act without becoming that impulse. You observe your physical reactions without letting them dictate your decisions. But there's a practical problem with relying on this mental discipline alone. When emotions get triggered, they will always feel stronger than logic. That's not a flaw in your character. It's neuroscience. Your limbic system processes emotional responses faster than your prefrontal cortex can analyze them rationally. This is why even experienced traders make impulsive decisions despite knowing better. You simply cannot outthink a chemical reaction in the moment. This is where the real transformation happens. Your trading process must be stronger than your personality. The most consistent traders I've studied don't rely on mental fortitude to maintain patience. Instead, they design environments and systems that make patience automatic. They create decision frameworks before emotions get involved. They build checklists that explicitly define when they must not trade, not just when they should. Some even schedule what they call quiet hours, dedicated blocks of time where they're only allowed to observe the market, never act. Think about it like this. It's the difference between trying to resist eating chocolate cake when it's sitting right in front of you versus not buying the cake in the first place. One requires constant willpower. The other removes the need for willpower entirely through environmental design. Now let me show you exactly how to build these systems in a way that works with your psychology instead of against it. If you've ever made an impulsive trade and immediately regretted it, drop "structure saves me" in the comments. There comes a moment in every serious trader's journey where something fundamental shifts. And it's not what most people expect. It's not about finding a better strategy or mastering another indicator. It's a transformation that happens at the identity level. Patience stops being this thing you're trying to practice, this discipline you're attempting to maintain, and it becomes simply who you are. When the idea of entering a trade without your criteria being met starts to feel genuinely absurd to you, like walking into traffic or jumping off a bridge, you've crossed a threshold that most traders never reach. This identity shift changes everything because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're not someone who wants to chase the market, but forces themselves to wait. You've become someone who naturally interacts with the market from a place of alignment. The internal conflict dissolves because there's nothing to resist anymore. Your default state has changed. Behind the scenes of every consistently profitable trader is this quiet evolution where their relationship with the market fundamentally transforms. But there's an even deeper revelation that completes this journey, and it's the master key that unlocks true freedom in your trading. It happens when you finally stop needing to win. Notice I didn't say you stop wanting to win or caring about results. What changes is your emotional dependency on specific outcomes. This is where real liberation lives, when you genuinely understand that winning trades don't make you a winner and losing trades don't make you a loser, that they're simply data points in a continuous flow of probability. Something profound happens to your psychology. The fear that once gripped you before entering positions starts to evaporate. The anxiety that used to follow you through every trade begins to fade. Why? Because your sense of worth, your identity as a trader, is no longer tied to whether this particular trade works out. You're not trading to prove something to yourself or validate your intelligence. You're not trying to feel better about yourself through market victories. You're simply expressing your edge, executing your process, and allowing probability to unfold exactly as it will. This creates a kind of emotional freedom that's almost impossible to shake. The market can spike against you, news can break unexpectedly, price can do something completely irrational, and you remain centered. Not because you've become cold or detached, but because you've changed your entire relationship with uncertainty. You've stopped fighting what you can never control and mastered the one thing you can: how you show up. Now, I want to go even deeper into how this transformation manifests in the actual moment-to-moment experience of trading. If you felt even a glimpse of this freedom, type "beyond outcomes" in the comments. If you've made it this far, I want you to know something. You're not here by accident. Most traders will never dive this deep into understanding their own psychology. They'll keep chasing strategies and indicators, never realizing that the real edge was always internal. But you're different. You're willing to look beneath the surface, to question the programming that's been holding you back, and that puts you in a rare category of traders who actually have a shot at long-term success. This channel exists for people exactly like you. Traders who understand that mastery isn't about finding shortcuts, it's about transformation. If this resonates with you, if you want to continue this journey into the deeper dimensions of trading psychology, hit that subscribe button right now. Every video we create is designed to give you insights that you won't find anywhere else, perspectives that actually shift how you experience the market. And if this video landed for you, if something clicked while you were watching, do me a favor and write "Patience is my weapon" in the comments below. It helps me understand that this message reached the right people, and honestly, it's incredible to see how many of us are on this path together. If you found value here, a quick like on the video goes a long way. It tells me this content matters to you and helps other traders discover these ideas when they need them most. Before you go, there's a video right here that dives into how to build unshakable confidence in your trading decisions. The perfect companion to what we just covered. Click and continue with me over there. Let's keep this transformation going.